Hello, everyone. My name is Isabel Moreno, and today we'll be talking about the oil refinery, World Oil, that resides within the city of Southgate. Once referred to under the company name Lundy Taggart Oil Refining, the refinery was established in 1937, where it was eventually acquired by World Oil and continues to run to this day within Southgate on Garfield Avenue, close to the Long Beach Freeway and Rio Hondo Channel. Some of the main resources extracted are crude oil and asphalt, two common ingredients found in products like naphtha, wind seal, cutter stock, and various types of coatings. Approximately 10,000 barrels of oil are extracted and transported on a daily basis, and that number seems to be growing with every passing year. As we know, oil refineries are notorious for the release of toxic chemicals and pollutants into the air. That is no different with World Oil. However, what's concerning is the location of this refinery and its impact within potentially vulnerable communities in Southgate. I will be exploring the environmental racism present and what could be done to advocate for change. When looking at the census in Southgate in 2023, there is a large demographic of Hispanic and Latino people. As a whole, the city has approximately 92,000 residents, with roughly 91.7% or 87,000 of the population identifying as Hispanic or Latino in some capacity. From this demographic, the average income sits anywhere from 68,000 to 71,000. Looking at this map, the businesses and nearby homes surrounding World Oil Refinery are marked in the red, indicating that the majority of those in the neighboring area are considered low income, falling below the city's average. Lower-income residents within Southgate are subjected to the strong toxic smell that penetrates through the air, along with any potential health risk accumulated from long-term inhalation of air in the surrounding area. Some of the most common health concerns and symptoms include an increased risk of respiratory infections, asthma, long-term irritations of the eyes, lungs, and skin, and even cancer. Women, children, older adults, and refinery employees are some of the groups most susceptible to these conditions, and is made even worse by the fact that the toxins and chemicals extracted through oil production tend to linger for great distances. Even if some residents live farther away from the refinery, they also face health risks, as pollutants can travel up to over 10 miles through the air without anything to stop it. Wide open locations like schools are some of the most likely to be exposed to these contaminants, again enforcing children as likely targets to inhaling these chemicals. Tweedy Elementary is a school that is located roughly 2 miles away from World Oil, but like in many other areas in Southgate, it can still be affected by the airborne toxins without children or parents even realizing. The Day Inn Suite is located much closer, and it is one of the buildings that resides next to the refinery itself. All those within some proximity are exposed to traces of airborne toxins such as sulfur dioxide, formaldehyde, nitrogen, nickel, lead, benzene, and many more. What all of this exemplifies is the disproportionate rate of environmental dangers low-income Hispanic residents are forced to endure. This occurrence is unfortunately not coincidental, but rather an intentional system that companies profit off of based on the inequality that they implement. As Laura Polito and David Pello both state in Geographies of Race and Ethnicity, the production of social inequalities by race, class, gender, and nation is not an aberration or the result of market failures. Rather, it is evidence of the normal, routine, functioning of capitalist economies. Modern market economies are supposed to produce social inequalities and environmental inequalities. By playing into class, racial, and ethnic divides, companies create an environment where their businesses can thrive off of cheap labor and earn higher profits, without enduring the consequences of the harm that they've inflicted on everyday residents. Even when efforts are made to incite some punishment or change, it seems to fall on deaf ears. Hundreds of odor complaints have been issued within the region that World Oil inhabits, with many mentioning the disgusting stench that remains where the company is occupied. Yet, there's little that has been done to improve the situation for locals, which is exactly the type of response these companies want in order to continue with their business practices. However, even if efforts to change the current situation have been stagnant, that doesn't mean that the fight has to end. Organizations focused on environmental justice are integral to future change, even if the results are not immediate. The Environmental Protection Agency is a federal organization dedicated to protecting communities and ensuring that the environment around them is safe to live in. As the most recent, World Oil has undergone a lawsuit issued by EPA in 2022 for violating the Clean Water Act and risking potential spills by not inspecting barrels that were placed near the Rio Hondo Channel. A settlement has been reached between two parties for $1,200,000, showing that businesses can face some repercussions for the hazards that they have implemented with enough push and advocacy through official means that cannot be ignored. When it comes to taking action against the World Oil Refinery and other oil refineries alike, it is essential to band groups and as many people together as possible to cultivate an awareness of the issues that continue to plague the people of Southgate. For too long, residents have been forced to live with the detrimental conditions that put their health at risk every day, due to lack of knowledge on the issue from the general public, indifference from local departments who do not specialize in environmental-based issues like law enforcement, and the idea that nobody on their own can enact any progress or change. Using lawsuits is a step in the right direction, as it uses the laws to directly challenge the way these companies are managed, as well as produce a paper trail that can document the misgivings of World Oil even years after the fact. This can push companies to comply with the needed requirements laid out for them by the law in order to reduce released chemicals, leaks, and smells that have been worsened by sloppy management and overall improve the lives within the Southgate community.